trees were destroyed. And that at that point, a couple of organizations wanted Citizens to Preserve Overton Park, which is the group that had actually won the Supreme Court case. Reformed to protect the park, and then another group, Get Off Our Lawn, was formed to protect the Greensward. And so that issue, sort of bubbled up then, but then it went away, eased off, and then last year, 2015, it seemed to bubble back up, and then events started to move pretty fast. At the end of the year, one of the councilmen asked that the council's attorney, Alan Wade, issue an opinion. Now we're getting into the fight part. And
my favorite part. No, I'm just kidding.
And Alan issued an opinion that basically said that 1986 plan, control. Well, it was never adopted, so I'm not quite sure how he actually issued that opinion. But be that as it may, the zoo then relied on that opinion, and then sort of in the middle of the night decided, well, we're going to build an extra road to make access to the Greensward easier. And they took out 27 trees that had been donated by Ernest Kelly, who's a leading attorney, used to represent the Memphis School Board for many years. And Ernest and his family had donated about 300 trees. The Boy Scouts had planted the trees, had nothing to do with this Greensward controversy. They just wanted to make it a prettier park. But then the zoo, and its inimitable wisdom, after taking out these trees, blamed it on the park supporters, saying that the park supporters had planted those trees to prevent its access to the Greensward, which that was done 3 years ago, so I'm not quite sure how that came about. But be that as it may, at that point, we had a real issue. And so then the mayor became concerned, got involved, and suggested this mediation that's now underway.
And this was Mayor Strickland.
This is Mayor Strickland, and I really appreciate his leadership. I mean, he stood up and said, hey, we got to fix this. And then the next day, the zoo filed a lawsuit in Chancery Court, basically saying the mayor didn't have any power to do anything. So
now see that I'm perplexed by when people make statements like that, because I understand that the zoo was given. The zoo really belonged to the city at one point.
It still belongs to the city.
Okay, so it still belongs.
And the
to
animals
the city.
belong to the city.
And the animals belong to the city.
Absolutely.
We just gave stewardship
to
the Overton, the
Memphis Zoological
Society. And that's why it runs me crazy when I see things when they say, we're going to do this to the Greenswards, because the park belongs to the city, to the citizens of Memphis. So how are you making all of these decisions? But that's a whole nother issue. And they're making these decisions based on an opinion that was rendered by Mr. Alan Wade, who is the council's attorney.
That's right. Not the city's attorney, as many people think.
But the council's attorney.
So, I mean, this gets, and to be honest with you, Mike, one thing I have learned through all this is I've gotten a lot better appreciation for some of the things you guys have been going through.
Yes.
But that's a whole nother, I'll have to come back. We can talk about some of that maybe.
Yes, sir.
So, at any rate, the litigation, started to move forward, and the Overton Park Conservancy was defending that litigation. Overton Park Conservancy had been formed in 2012 to take, put some order around this park. I mean, it sort of was chaotic. You had the zoo, you had the Shell, you had Brooks, you had the golf course, and so OPC was formed by some, public-spirited citizens who contributed a lot of money, $10 million so far, to turn Overton Park from what had been a pretty run-down place into a first-class park again. And, one of their jobs, as that contract, stated, was to manage the Greensward. Manage meaning they cut the grass. Manage meaning that, they issue permits for use of the land so we don't end up with conflicting uses, those sorts of things. And so that conservancy was, named in the suit. And be honest with you, they filed a pretty powerful answer, which, again, I'm not representing anybody, but I've read it all, and I will say the zoo was going to lose really badly. So the reason we got to the council action is, the zoo got panicked.
They circumvented.
So let me give you an analogy.
Okay.
Let's picture you're out in the parking lot somewhere, and there are a couple of guys. One guy's about 6'2", strapping guy. Other guy's about 5'8", little scrawny kid, and the big guy's sort of been pushing him around a little bit. And, this is a fight. You can tell this is a fight, coming up.
Right.
And there's a guy in the community that's pretty well known. He said, "Well, I'm going to referee this, and by the way, I'm going to make book too. So let's get the bets." And so there we go. Everybody's money on the table, and you can guess, who everybody's been betting for. It's that 6'2" guy.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, that 5'8" kid's pretty good. He's scrappy. Of course, he hadn't told anybody he's a kickboxing champion, but that's
See.
And so the referee says, we got to do something to even this up. This 6'2" guy and this 5'8" guy, this is unfair. All right, 6'2" guy, I'm giving you a baseball bat so we get this thing evened up. So that's basically what City Council did.
Okay. Now, I want to get to an issue because we're going to open up the phone lines.
That'll be great.
But I want to, and we can keep talking.
Absolutely.
But I want to open the phone lines in case somebody wants to call in. I was amazed when I saw Barbara Swearingen Ware. I'm going to go there. Okay?
You're going to go there.
I can go there. I was amazed when I saw Barbara Swearingen Ware. Don't get me wrong, I love Barbara Swearingen Ware. I do. I supported her. But I was amazed when she came into the council and Pastor DeAndre Brown came in. And I didn't really know what was going on. And I still really didn't know what was going on because I had to run out after it was over with to ask DeAndre Brown, what was that all about? On Tuesdays, they have Free Day at the zoo, or Free Zoo Day or something.
Free 3 hours or 4 hours.
Free 3 hours. It used to be, didn't it used to be all day?
I don't think
it
so.
Never was?
I don't think
okay,
it was.
But anyway, so they have free 3 hours. I guess if you get in that time frame, then you get to experience the zoo. And they threw the monkey wrench in there and played the race card. I can do that. I'm going to do that. I can do that.
I appreciate
I can do that.
Because I thought it was scurrilous myself.
Well, I didn't know what was going on, and I'm sitting here going, okay, so what are you saying? So I ran out and I asked DeAndre Brown, I said, because me and DeAndre cool, I said, what was that? I didn't understand it.
He's doing great things in the community.
I didn't understand it. And he said, well, and Alan Wade brought up this big deal about, there are these kids in these communities that coming from destitute households that possibly have the ability to come to the zoo on Tuesdays, and a lot of the parking on the Greenswards are possibly individuals that are coming to the zoo on Tuesdays. That's what they said, okay? So I'm sitting here going, huh? Okay. So you get in the zoo for free. This is just me. You get in the zoo for free. Why can't you park somewhere off the grass and walk to the zoo? Or I can remember last year, and I don't know whether it was the Overton Park Conservancy or whomever, but they had just built a parking garage over in Overton Square, and they were providing transportation from the garage over to the zoo, which I think was free as well.
It was in the afternoons.
Right, it was free as well.
Not at night, but in the afternoon, yeah.
Right, it was free as well. So I'm saying you get to go to the zoo for free. You get to ride the transportation from the parking garage to the zoo for free. So I didn't understand, me as a black man that comes from North Memphis, I didn't understand why they came in there with this at this particular time, because to me, now you're using the black race to say that there's a problem with parking on the Greensward. You're not allowing them opportunity to go to the zoo. And I didn't get that because I've worked hard all my life. I'm a black man. I've worked hard all my life.
Sure.
I love Overton Park just like anybody else, and I don't live in Midtown. And I come all the way from East Memphis to go to Overton Park, to put a blanket on the ground, to watch my 5-year-old daughter run around the park.
Because it's a great
and let
place.
my dog run. So I want